The sun blazed mercilessly over the Iraqi desert, a molten coin hanging in a cloudless sky. Yet, Dr. Layla Haddad barely noticed the heat as she knelt beside a shallow trench. The cracked earth beneath her boots whispered ancient secrets, each grain of dust alive with stories long buried. Moments before, her trowel had struck something harder than clay-smooth stone, polished as if shaped by countless hands in prayer. Around her, the excavation team froze, caught in a breathless pause, as if the desert itself held its breath. Layla carefully brushed away the earth, revealing a fragment etched with cuneiform spirals so precise they seemed freshly carved. One bold wedge stood out clearly in her mind. Water? Her heart quickened. She had come chasing a legend. Near the ruins of Shuruppak, a Sumerian tablet told of a great flood centuries before the story of Genesis. To skeptics, it was a myth. To Layla, whose grandmother had once lulled her to sleep with tales of Utnapishtim and Gilgamesh, it was a compass guiding her life. Funders doubted, colleagues scoffed, but she pressed on, driven by what scholars call the ache of unknowing. A sudden gust stirred dust devils around the tents. Dr. David Cole, her American epigraphist, hurried over, his notebook flapping wildly. "Tell me you found more than a foundation brick," he gasped. "Look," Layla whispered, and he knelt beside her. Behind his wire-rimmed glasses, his eyes widened. For a moment, they were children discovering treasure in a sandbox. Then came the sharp click of a camera shutter. Anya Petrov, the documentary filmmaker embedded with them, captured the moment. She said nothing. Her lens spoke, preserving the raw awe on their faces. Night fell like a velvet curtain, and campfires flickered against the desert's sudden chill. The team gathered in the research tent, heads bowed over the tablet fragment resting on a foam cradle. A generator hummed softly as Layla's laptop projected a magnified image onto canvas. The cuneiform lines curved like ripples on water. Cole read aloud, "When the black clouds rolled like stampeding bulls, and the heavens bellowed in thunder, the gods convened and conspired to wash the slate of man." His voice trembled, whether from cold or the weight of the words, Layla couldn't tell. Around them, young interns, modern skeptics born with smartphones, stared in near-religious wonder. The room felt smaller, stitched together by shared awe. Layla remembered her grandmother's words. "Stories are boats. They carry us across the floods of time." Tonight, she felt the keel beneath her feet. But the desert guards its secrets jealously. Just 2 dunes away, rival archaeologist Dr. Merrick Zoran's camp burned with equal determination. Brilliant and ruthless, Zoran had chased the same rumor for years. Backed by a media conglomerate hungry for exclusives, he wielded drones, LiDAR, and a crew twice the size of Layla's. What he lacked was luck, so he nursed envy instead. His scouts had already spotted Layla's celebration. At dawn, bruised clouds darkened the horizon, rare promise of rain in summer. Layla's team expanded the trench, uncovering more tablet shards. Anya filmed every discovery, weaving past and present on tape. Suddenly, intern Sammy called out. A larger fragment, edges sharp and clear. Together, they pieced the shards on a plexiglass sheet, a mosaic of prophecy returning to life. The partial translation spoke of a king, commanded by the god Enki, to build a vast vessel sealed with bitumen, stocked with the seed of all living things. The lines echoed the later Genesis flood story with eerie fidelity, yet predated it by 1,000 years. The idea that the world's flood tale began here, in Sumer, tightened around their throats like an invisible hand. Thunder rolled. The desert answered with echoes. The first raindrops splattered the dust, turning powder to paste. Workers scrambled, covering trenches with tarps. Rain was rare, but when it came, Wadis turned into rivers that swallowed camps whole. Layla barked orders in Arabic and English, her voice cutting through the wind. She and Cole clutched the plexiglass sheet, sprinting toward the storage container as lightning cracked the sky. Hours passed beneath the pounding rain. Tents sagged, power flickered, mud rose to ankles. Yet inside the command trailer, euphoria held firm. They had enough fragments to fill academic journals for years. Headlines would scream, "First Noah tablet found." Her phone buzzed a message from the Iraqi Antiquities Bureau, granting provisional clearance to move the artifacts to Baghdad. It felt like triumph, almost sacred. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life. Then the power died. Screens went dark. The fridge's hum stopped. Outside, generators sputtered, drowned by water. In the darkness, a shout pierced the night. "Fire!" A lantern had toppled inside the supply tent. Rain and flame battled as silhouettes rushed with buckets. Amid the chaos, a muddy figure slipped into the trailer. Silent rubber soles, a masked flashlight, gloved hands moved with purpose. In less than a minute, the plexiglass cradle was empty. Morning revealed the damage. The fire, brief but fierce, had consumed notebooks and samples but spared lives. Layla's relief vanished when she saw the empty space on the evidence table. Her cry of anguish cut through the camp. Zoran's team had packed at first light, claiming flash floods forced evacuation. Yet Iraqi authorities reported no flooding near his site. Anya's camera caught Layla's fury, her grief, her storm of Arabic curses at invisible thieves. With official channels bogged down by bureaucracy, Layla turned to an older currency, loyalty. She sought out Khalid, a Bedouin guide whose tribe had roamed these sands long before borders existed. Over tiny cups of cardamom coffee, she told him of the stolen tablet. Khalid's eyes narrowed. Honor had been insulted on his land. Word spread through nomad networks faster than satellites. By dusk, one of his cousins arrived, a convoy of 3 jeeps speeding toward Nasiriyah, bearing crates stamped with Zoran's seal. Layla's choices narrowed to risk or regret. She chose risk. That night, she set off with Cole, Sammy, and Khalid in a battered Land Cruiser older than any of them. They followed tire tracks across the plains, headlights slicing the darkness. The rain had stopped, leaving the earth a mirror, reflecting stars so sharply it felt as if the sky had flipped beneath their wheels. Near dawn, they spotted taillights. Zoran's convoy was stalled by a washed-out gully where water still roared. Engines idled, drivers argued. In that moment of uncertainty, Khalid accelerated, cutting headlights at the last second. The Land Cruiser skidded to a stop just yards away, hidden behind a dune. Layla's heart pounded. "Confront or outwit," Cole whispered. Layla thought of her grandmother's stories. Heroes rarely won by force. They won by wit, gifts from the gods. She exhaled, rose from the passenger seat, and stepped into the gray dawn. Before anyone could see her, she began chanting not Arabic, but phonetic Sumerian she had practiced for years, lines from the stolen tablet. Elamdu ilu enki, bertu shaitamtum. Her voice, strange and lilting, echoed off the dunes. Zoran's crew froze, startled by the ghostly chant. A superstitious driver crossed himself. Even Zoran emerged, brow furrowed, searching the horizon. Layla stepped forward, her desert cloak billowing like wings. She timed her advance with the chant's crescendo, letting the rising sun silhouette her. For a moment, logic wavered. Layla Brown, skinned, black-robed, looked every inch the priestess of a forgotten god. Behind her, Cole and Sammy circled, slashing the nearest jeep's tires. Air hissed like serpents. Chaos erupted as men shouted. Zoran pushed through, eyes locking with Layla's. Recognition flashed, then fury. "You're insane," he spat, voice sharp. "Return to your dig. This is mine, by right of discovery." "And theft," she replied calmly. "You burn our notes, steal our history. Think the gods did not watch." Thunder rumbled, though the sky was clear. Zoran faltered. Somewhere inside, ancient awe wrestled with modern arrogance. At that moment, Khalid drove the Land Cruiser between them. Layla flung open the rear door. Cole leapt out, waving paperwork stamped by the Antiquities Bureau Legal Authority in red ink. Iraqi police sirens wailed in the distance. Khalid's tribe had made the call. A greater power had arrived. Zoran's bravado crumbled. He stepped aside. 2 crates emerged. Layla's fingers found the plexiglass sheet intact. As police trucks rolled in, Zoran protested, but the chain of custody favored Layla. Cameras recorded the handover. In a story as old as time, arrogance fell to cunning and community. Back in Baghdad's National Museum, sunlight poured through skylights onto the reassembled tablet. Conservators worked like surgeons, sealing fractures with care. Scholars from Oxford to Tokyo requested high-resolution scans. News anchors compared Layla to Indiana Jones, though she laughed. Real archaeology, she said, was mostly paperwork. Still, the world listened as she unveiled the translation in a packed auditorium, her voice echoing among marble pillars. "I will reveal to you, O man of Sumer, a secret of gods and clay. Prepare a boat of reeds and tar, for a flood like tears of the sky shall come." Gasps rippled when the text described animals entering 2 by 2, and again when it ended not with a covenant, but silenced the gods retreating after judgment, leaving humankind to face survival alone. The weight of the message was heavier than any apocalypse. The Sumerians saw catastrophe not as punishment, but as a cosmic reset, a chance to rebuild wiser. Yet, the tablet held one last surprise. On its reverse Cydia portion, unread until now, Cole spotted a tiny star map aligning constellations to a date roughly 3,600 years ago. Astrophysicists confirmed that alignment matched a comet breaking apart, its debris likely triggering floods across many rivers. Myth met a meteor. The scientific world reeled. In cafes from Paris to Perth, strangers debated whether story or stone held the greater truth. National Geographic featured Layla on its cover under the headline, "The First Ark." Hollywood producers left voicemails with 7-figure offers. But Layla returned first to her grandmother's house in Mosul, carrying only a clay replica. The old woman traced the wedges with trembling fingers, tears pooling. "We kept the story alive," she whispered. "Now the story keeps us alive." Outside, the Tigris rumbled the same river that once overflowed to birth legends. Layla watched children skipping stones, their laughter filling the air. She imagined the tablet speaking to them across millennia, not as relic but as elder. A warning, perhaps. A compass, certainly. She wondered, if the sky wept again, would this generation hear Enki's whisper in time? Across the ocean, Zoran faced academic censure, yet found strange redemption. The footage of Layla's confrontation went viral, sparking debates on cultural heritage ethics. Universities invited him to lecture on the dangers of competitive excavation. Failures, too, have stories to tell. Anya's documentary, Floodlines, premiered at Sundance, opening with Layla chanting on the dunes, cutting to rain striking sand, then animated cuneiform blossoming into roaring waves. Viewers left awed, some in tears. Subscriptions to Chronicles Unearthed soared. Comment sections flooded with flood myths from Polynesia to Peru, each echoing the same primal fear and stubborn hope. In a televised interview, Layla summed up the tablet's true gift. Proof that across cultures, we're united by water. by the terror of losing everything and the stubborn dream of starting anew. The Sumerians carved that memory into clay to outlast stone and empire. Now it lives in our data clouds, our YouTube feeds. The Ark is a metaphor, but also a method. Preserve, protect, pass on. Months later, beneath Babylon's reconstructed gates, Layla attended a night festival of lights. Lanterns drifted upward like prayers. As each flame rose, she pictured another shard of forgotten truth waiting to be found. A single syllable that might topple empires of doubt. Somewhere, buried in silt or surf, more stories slept, dreaming of the day a curious hand might wake them. She closed her eyes, listening for the ancient heartbeat beneath her feet, feeling the pulse that had guided her through storms and saboteurs. It drummed the same refrain. Every flood spares a story. Every story builds an ark. And we, the living, are both the waters and the builders. The lanterns vanished into the velvet sky, tiny suns carrying wishes aloft. Layla smiled, the desert night warm against her skin, and wondered, what grand deluge will the next shard reveal, and will we listen before the waters rise again? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life.